power. Crazy with the skill, believe me, I can go hours. Dance beyond the pain to say the rain, a cold shower. Gotta play the game to ascertain what's your power.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Discover What's New in ServiceNow Zurich for AI Platform Security. I'm Kevin Thompson, Director of Outbound Product Management for the AI Platform Security team, and I'll be your host for today's session. We're excited to walk you through the latest innovations in platform security, especially how they help you protect sensitive data more effectively and efficiently. Whether you're a platform owner, security admin, or part of the CISO office, today's content is going to help you answer two key questions. What can you do now that you couldn't do before, and how does this apply to you? Before we dive in, a quick plug for our broader Live on ServiceNow series. These webinars and 360 exchanges are a great way to connect with experts and peers and to accelerate your product adoption and value realization. We'll drop a link in the chat so you can check out the full schedule. If you find today's session helpful, we'd love to see you at another one soon. Also, I need to cover a few housekeeping items for today's event. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions you may have during today's event. We'll try to answer them throughout the session or at the end. If you ask questions in the general chat, it's harder for our team to see which questions have already been answered. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll find the reactions button. Feel free to give us a reaction throughout the webinar and let us know if you're liking what you're seeing. We will be sharing today's presentation and recording after the event, and after this webinar, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. Your feedback is super valuable to us, so if you have the time, please take the survey. Let me give you a quick rundown of what to expect in today's session. You've already met me. I'm Kevin, up at the top of the slide. I'll talk a bit more about the AI Platform Security team's goals for the Zurich release and introduce you to one of our new features, the Vault Console, and how it ties into the product line we're building to help secure your most critical workflows. After that, we'll hand it over to Andrew Vitolo, who will dig into the latest updates in our data privacy product. Derek Borland will tell us about the latest improvements to platform encryption, and then Brianna Boss will talk about some exciting changes in identity and authentication. Finally, Maury C. Blanchard will talk about some new authorization features related to machine identity and discuss some new additions to Security Center. Each of the speakers will dive deeper into the enhancements in their respective areas, so you'll get a really detailed look at what's new. And of course, before we go too far into this, we have to give you one quick legal note before we begin. Today's session is focused on the Zurich release, and we're not planning to talk about future roadmap items. That said, sometimes in Q&A we get excited and a sneak peek slips out. So just a reminder, please make any purchasing decisions based on what's available today, not on anything speculative or forward-looking. Now that you've met the speakers and seen the agenda, let's talk about the AI Platform Security team and how our work fits into ServiceNow's AI vision. Despite our name, the AI Platform Security team secures far more than just AI. Yes, we're laser focused on delivering the most trusted AI services in the industry and making sure our customers can demonstrate that trust to their stakeholders. But our work also extends to traditional workflows. We build foundational security features like identity and access management, single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and our marquee security suite, ServiceNow Vault. When I meet with customers, the conversation often shifts to their own roadmap. They see huge potential in AI for transformation, but face hurdles that start with traditional workflows, showing the right data to the right people at the right time and proving it to auditors. AI adds new layers of complexity. It feels like cloud 15 years ago, full of promise, but surrounded by questions about safety and trust. Customers want AI to reduce operational burden, but they need assurance that their sensitive data isn't training models and proof for auditors. That's why platform matters. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. You can have the most advanced models, but if they're not embedded in a secure, governed, and scalable platform, they're not fit for enterprise use. And that's where our team comes in. We ensure that every AI-driven workflow is grounded in security, governance, and compliance. Let's break this slide down from the bottom up. I group platform security into three buckets: invisibles, configurables, and enhanceables. First, the invisibles, the stuff you never think about but always benefit from. things like secure infrastructure and platform hardening. Those certifications, ISO, SOC, FedRAMP, they're not just badges. They're what let you run sensitive workloads on ServiceNow's AI platform with confidence, anywhere and at scale. Next, the configurables. These are the security features you can fine tune to match your policies: single sign on, multi factor authentication, roles, access control, and data classification. You set the intent, and the platform enforces it consistently across workflows. And then the enhanceables. This is where advanced capabilities like ServiceNow Vault come in. They unlock sensitive use cases and bring AI into parts of the business you might have thought were off limits. At this level, security isn't just protecting value, it creates it by enabling new workflows that weren't possible before. ServiceNow Vault brings advanced security across the entire data lifecycle, from ingestion to storage, usage, and auditing. Data privacy helps you block unwanted sensitive data before it's stored and ensures it doesn't leak into places it shouldn't. It prevents sensitive data from being cloned into subprod environments, making it easier to prove data minimization. Platform encryption protects the data you do want to keep. Beyond encrypting storage, it secures attachments and fields, supports bring your own keys, and enables key rotation. This means you can enforce strict access controls and demonstrate compliance, even to the point of proving an AI agent can't read a field. And zero trust access adds dynamic control, removing roles when a user logs in from less trusted networks, devices, or locations. Vault is really powerful, but customers told us that it feels like 5 different products, each managed separately. So we've organized these capabilities around a simple workflow you see at the top: know your data, protect your data, and monitor your data. And we're starting to build a guided user interface to walk you through that workflow. Our first step along that path is the introduction of the ServiceNow Vault console in Zurich. The Vault console brings together capabilities from across the Vault portfolio into a single organized experience. In this first release, it makes it easier to see which controls to use for the know your data and protect your data steps in that security workflow. For know your data, the console guides you through discovering and classifying data across workflows like customer service and field service. It helps you surface where sensitive data lives, even in unexpected places, so you can make informed decisions. And for protect your data, once you've identified what's sensitive, the console walks you through applying the right protections. That could mean enabling encryption, setting up anonymization jobs, or configuring zero trust controls, all tailored to your compliance needs. In addition to organizing these capabilities, the console includes guided workflows for securing common ServiceNow use cases, such as customer service. These workflows simplify setup and reduce the need for deep security expertise. Vault Console streamlines how you apply data protections, reducing manual effort, closing gaps faster, and ensuring consistency across your environment. Let's take a look at how this comes together in the product with a quick demo. You just heard how Vault Console unifies know your data and protect your data. Now let me show you how the console organizes those controls, and then we'll use Guided Vault to protect sensitive data in customer service management. At the top of the screen, we have the Guided Vault section. This panel is your workflow-specific guide. It suggests the exact steps to discover, classify, and then protect data for a given workflow, like CSM, so admins don't need to be security experts to do the right thing. Then moving down, Vault controls are organized by intent. Know your data helps you discover and classify where sensitive data lives. Protect your data walks you through applying protections like encryption, anonymization, or zero trust access based on what you found. On the right, you've got quick links to docs and how-tos, perfect when you want background or step-by-step guidance while you're configuring. Let's put this to work. I'll use Guided Vault to protect sensitive data in CSM. Guided Vault has already analyzed the tables and columns in customer service management and suggested classifications for us. It's identified 124 fields that need classification, and this is important because it takes the burden off the platform owner to know which tables and fields are relevant to CSM and might contain sensitive data. If I click on any of the classification types, like confidential, internal, PII, I can filter down to just the fields that Guided Vault recommends for that category. For example, it's flagged 18 fields as PII and 0 fields as public. Right now, none of these fields have been classified in my instance, but if they had, you'd see the current classification in this column labeled Existing Class. My next step is to click the Preview Classes button so I can take a final look at these recommendations before committing to them. On this screen, Guided Vault gives us one more look at the data classifications we're about to make. You can see the tables and columns listed along with the final classification that's going to be applied. If everything looks good, our next step is to check the box to agree to these changes and click Apply Recommended Classes to commit them. On this screen, for each of the fields we just classified, I now see columns for the different kinds of protection I can apply with ServiceNow Vault, things like anonymization, field encryption, and zero trust access policies. This makes it easy to see which fields are already protected and which tools are available for securing this private data. For example, I'd like to create a zero trust access policy for the personally identifiable information in this application. The goal is to make sure that if someone is accessing PII, we challenge them to authenticate more frequently, reducing the risk if someone leaves their workstation unattended. To do that, I'll click on the Available link in the Zero Trust Access column to get started creating that policy. A continuous authentication policy in ServiceNow is a zero trust security feature that doesn't stop at login. Instead of assuming a user remains trusted for the entire session, continuous authentication continuously verifies identity and can trigger re-authentication or multi-factor authentication challenges when someone tries to access sensitive data or perform high-risk actions. Think of it as don't trust once, always verify. For this demo, I'm going to apply the policy to personally identifiable information. Once I select the PII classification, notice that the tables are automatically filled in for me. This means that the platform owner doesn't have to remember every table and field where PII might exist. Guided Vault takes care of that. Now I just save the policy. Back in Guided Vault, you can see that a zero trust access policy has been applied to all of the PII data. If I click Next, it will take me to a screen where I could apply a real-time anonymization policy to this data as well. But I'm going to leave here for now and go back to the Vault console landing page. Back on the Vault console landing page, I want to check what has just been classified. So if I scroll down to Classification and click on View Tool Metrics, I can see a summary of the classification that has been applied. Here it shows 124 fields we just classified in Customer Service Management, along with 109 fields that were previously identified in our HR application. Vault Console provides a guided experience to classify and protect sensitive data so admins can move from know to protect in fewer hops. I've just introduced you to ServiceNow Vault Console. Here are the other security features that we have come out with for the Zurich release. Our other speakers are anxious to share how these features are going to help you secure your workflows and AI on the platform. So let's pass the presentation over to my friend, Andrew. Andrew is a product manager on my team that has been with ServiceNow for just over 3 years. Andrew specializes in our data privacy product. Just as a reminder, data privacy is the Vault component that proactively scans your environment for sensitive data, helps you classify it, and then anonymize it both in production and in your sub-prod environments. Now, this is a product that came out 2 years ago, and in the first iteration, it used regular expression patterns to find data. Data privacy comes with a lot of predefined patterns for payment cards and other kinds of sensitive information, and administrators can also define their own patterns. But Andrew, that's not always good enough, is it? How have we improved on the data privacy product in Zurich?
Well, first of all, thank you, Kevin, and good morning, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call your attention to two key themes for data privacy for Zurich. First, we're expanding the efficiency and simplicity of detecting and handling sensitive data by leveraging machine learning and AI really where it makes sense for customers. So the first thing that we're able to do as part of the data privacy product is we're able to find sensitive data much faster with Now Assist for Vault. This is our AI assisted capabilities. So now customers will be able to use Now Assist to create data discovery jobs. And then more importantly, they're able to create regular expressions, which are key for detecting sensitive data just by using a prompt with AI. I'll demonstrate its full power and capability in the short demo to come. But the other two key things that I wanted to talk about is we're really improving the efficiency in managing sensitive data. We've introduced a policy-based discovery framework that really helps you get granularity of what data you're targeting. That could be broken down by workflows or regions. And then we're also introducing the ability to run recurring anonymization jobs on a weekly or monthly basis. Prior to this release, you could run these scheduled jobs as part of your cloning process or on demand. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is we're really expanding detection coverage. In the past releases, we introduced NER, or named entity recognition, which is how we use natural language to discover things like names, locations, and groups in real-time anonymization jobs. Well, in this release, scheduled jobs, which are able to run retroactively, or as we call it, reactively, to be able to find sensitive data, means that you're not only detecting structured data, but also unstructured data like those names, locations, and groups. But rather than me talking about all of these key capabilities, I thought I'd show you a demo about all of some of these different features as part of the Zurich release. Let's go over some of the key features in data privacy as part of the Zurich release. Data privacy is made up out of two applications. It's made up of data privacy, which includes classification and anonymization, and data discovery. Let's go over the first feature. Traditionally, administrators were able to perform incremental scans as new data made its way into the instance. As part of the Zurich release, administrators can do both a full scan and an incremental scan when it comes to data discovery. In Zurich, data privacy gets a new policy-based framework for configuring data discovery jobs made up of patterns, target tables, and target columns. We can review in detail what specific data patterns are targeted as part of the incident policy. Let's modify this policy to also add discovering for a credit card number. We can already see that we have our incident policy with the existing data patterns that are both model-based and static. Let's go ahead and add the credit card discover. We hit save, and now our discovery job has been appended to include that data pattern as well. Data privacy has many out-of-the-box patterns that are detecting for sensitive information. But what if you wanted to create your own custom pattern? Traditionally, that relied on the ability to know how to write a regular expression. However, with the introduction of Now Assist for ServiceNow Vault, customers can create custom regular expressions using AI in a matter of seconds. Let's add a custom pattern to help us find Bitcoin wallet IDs. I've given a prompt and an example of a Bitcoin wallet ID. Look how easy it was to generate the regular expression, be able to understand the explanation of what the regular expression is doing, and be able to take some test values and add them to make sure that the regular expression is working as by design. I'll paste my first test value, validate that it was picked up by the regular expression. Then I'll grab another test value and do the same. I've completed and feel confident that the regular expression works, and now just need to wrap up with adding a custom pattern name. Let's call it Bitcoin wallets. Hit save. I've created a custom regular expression in a matter of seconds rather than minutes and hours due to the power of Now Assist for Vault. Data privacy, part of ServiceNow Vault, is your go-to tool for both being able to be proactive about finding sensitive data and handling it, as well as a reactive tool to scan your instance for PHI, PII, and other forms of protected and sensitive data.
Thanks for that demo, Andrew. Have you seen any examples where customers have used data discovery to search their instance and found something they didn't think they were storing?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we just had a regulated financial services customer who started evaluating data privacy and came to us with 120 plus findings of what they were concerned could have been false positives. After examining the results, it was quickly evident that there was indeed sensitive data in tables they suspected could have contained it, but weren't sure. They were able to really prove out the value of data privacy in less than 30 days. And what's amazing is that since data privacy has a 30-day trial for both prod and sub-prod, they were able to recognize and realize this value so quickly, confirm that indeed there was sensitive data, and be able to anonymize it quickly. So for those of you that haven't already used this solution, do check it out. It is available in the ServiceNow store. So great question, Kevin.
Yeah, this is really powerful stuff because I think we can all agree you can't protect what you don't know about. Okay, let's pass things over to our next speaker. Derek Borland is one of our encryption specialists. Derek has been with ServiceNow for just over a year and a half, and he's going to tell you about the latest improvements to platform encryption. So Derek, platform encryption has overlapping methods of protecting data at rest. There's the full encryption of the storage volume, but also the encryption of individual fields in the database. And I understand our new features in Zurich are related to that second piece, right?
That's correct, Kevin. In our previous release, we replaced the product column level encryption with field encryption. We did that in order to enhance our encryption backed access controls. With the Zurich release, we're taking that next step by introducing row level encryption. Previously, with column level encryption, you were able to define custom encryption rules for specific columns. However, managing keys across multiple teams and records within shared columns can be complex, and it could inadvertently expose different teams to restricted data, causing security risks or compliance issues. With our newest enhancement, row level encryption, it now gives you the ability to assign a key and protect data at the individual row level within a column. This ensures that only the eyes you deem necessary to see the data will have visibility into it. In short, row level encryption gives you the capability to define encryption rules based on dynamic conditions, not only for specific columns, but for rows within those columns. So sensitive data is protected with precision. So let's check out a demo. Let's review how to set up an encryption policy. The first step, we must create a key. We do this by creating what's called a cryptographic module. This is where we're going to create the key and define the functionality for that key, such as the key type or the key lifecycle. As you can see, we set up a symmetric key, and our origin is ServiceNow. Next step is setting up the module access policy. This is where we're going to define who or what has the ability to access data that is encrypted by the key we just created. As you can see, we're giving the role of admin, since that's what I'm signed in as a moment, access to the data that will be encrypted with the key we have created. Now finally, we're going to configure the fields we want to encrypt. We first define what column and what table we want. You can see we've chosen to encrypt the short description field within the incident table. Most description fields commonly hold the most detail to any case or incident, so it is common we want to restrict visibility to those fields. Now the new feature for Zurich, row conditions. Because we have a shared table, and some users require access to some of the short descriptions, but maybe not all, we're going to limit visibility at the row level. Here we have created a row condition that states, since we gave access for the admin user to read short descriptions if the department is HR by using the HR key we created, however, the department is information technology, they will need a different key specifically for that data, which at this time the admin user I'm logged in under does not have access to. So let's see what this looks like in the incident table. We have two incidents here, as you can see. The short description for the incident with the Department Human Resources is visible. However, the short description field with the Department Information Technology is hidden. Let's go ahead and click into the Human Resources incident. As you can see, down in the short description, you see a lock. That's showing you that this field is encrypted. Row-level encryption now gives us the ability to encrypt specific rows in a shared table, giving us even more precision with our encryption rules.
That's really cool, Derek. In our Yokohama webinar, we introduced the change from column level encryption to field encryption. And I said that in Yokohama, there really wasn't going to be any change in functionality, but it allowed us to make architectural changes that would set up new functionality down the road. Is this an example of a feature that we can only do with field encryption and not the older column level encryption?
That's correct, Kevin. We have many customers requesting the ability to get more precise with their encryption policies and even with key management in order to add that defense and depth into their most sensitive data. And that's what we're doing with this field encryption, but we're doing it all over the platform encryption portfolio.
Great. Well, let's keep it rolling over to our next speaker. Brianna Boss has been with ServiceNow for just over a year and a half and specializes in identity and authentication. This is one of those parts of the platform that we include out of the box and is essential to the security of our customers. So we've continued to invest in new features here. Bree, last time we talked, you were telling us about multi-factor authentication, and I understand we have some new developments there. Also, you have some new features related to machine identity. Tell us more about that.
Hi, everyone. Yes. So in Yokohama, we did roll out our enforced MFA by default. But for this release, I want to highlight FIDO2 based multi factor authentication through our MFA factor policies. But what does that mean? So, for those of you who may not know, FIDO2 is an open authentication standard that uses cryptographic security keys or built in device biometrics, like a fingerprint or facial recognition, instead of traditional passwords or codes. This is important because it provides a more secure method of logging in than standard MFA methods. With the Zurich release, ServiceNow lets you enforce FIDO2 for high-risk users or scenarios while allowing lighter MFA methods where appropriate. It's a great balance of strong, phishing-resistant protection and a smoother sign-in experience for users. In simpler words, you can now create policies that require higher access users to use FIDO2 instead of other MFA options to ensure a more secure login. But now that we've covered how FIDO2 helps authentication become stronger and simpler for users, the next question is, how do we manage all of this at scale? That's where the new MFA dashboard and guided setup come in. With the new MFA dashboard, admins get a simple place to track enrollment, adoption, and policy compliance, making it easier to see where coverage gaps exist. And if you're setting up MFA for the first time, the new MFA guided setup walks you through each step, from configuration to policy assignment. So you can get up and running quickly with best practice settings right out of the box. Together, these tools make it faster to deploy MFA, easier to maintain coverage, and more effective at reducing authentication risk. So now that we've talked about how ServiceNow helps strengthen user authentication with tools like FIDO2 and MFA management, let's shift gears to another critical area of identity security: machine identities. These are the service accounts used for integrations that connect systems behind the scenes, and managing them securely is just as important as protecting human users. That's where the Machine Identity Console comes in. We have heard a lot of feedback about wanting more visibility into security, especially when it comes to integrations. What are they doing? How are they authenticating? And are they even secure? That's exactly why we created the Machine Identity Console. Today, those machine identities or service accounts used for API integrations are everywhere. They are the glue that holds secure integrations together, but when they're mismanaged, they often become a major risk factor. We see it all the time: service accounts that are being used by both humans and APIs, basic authentication credentials floating around in plain text, no clear way to audit who or what is doing what in your console. And that's why we built the Machine Identity Console, to bring clarity, control, and confidence to how you manage inbound API integrations. So with this console, you can now improve security by identifying risks and following guided recommendations to strengthen your machine identity posture. You can visualize usage to see which machine identities accessed which APIs in the last 7 days. You can track authentication methods and instantly know which identities are using basic auth, OAuth, or other methods, and get actionable recommendations to upgrade insecure configurations. And you can now have a more simple OAuth creation experience. You can build new inbound integrations with OAuth in just a few clicks. The UI will walk you through different grant types and scopes, making it easier than ever to move from basic auth to OAuth. And in our next demo, I'll show you how all of this comes together in action. As soon as I log in, I land on the Machine Identity Console homepage. Right away, I can see that there are 8 integration accounts detected across my instance, 3 with risky roles and 16 risky findings automatically surfaced. This gives me an instant snapshot of my machine identity posture, what integrations exist, how healthy they are, and where I might have potential risk exposure. Each integration here represents a machine identity, a service account or API user that connects systems and automates workflows. And as those connections multiply, so does the risk. That's exactly why this level of visibility is so important. Now let's dig into inbound integrations. From here, I can view all existing application registries and even create new inbound OAuth integrations as part of our new simplified inbound integrations experience. When I start creating a new integration, I can select the application connection type, and the form dynamically adapts, guiding me through the right fields and steps. It's a cleaner, more intuitive workflow that makes it easier to build secure integrations right from the start. Previously, admins had no central view of inbound API accounts, and the setup process was confusing. That often led people to fall back on less secure methods like basic auth. Now, this experience eliminates that gap entirely, making secure OAuth adoption the path of least resistance. Now let's look at the metrics tab next. Starting with our machine identity accounts list, this is the place to see all of your integration service accounts. We provide visibility into these identities by showing all accounts that have the web service access only flag set to true, or even those accounts that have accessed an API, complete with details on activity, last access time, and usage trends. I can also see all unique API calls made in the last 7 days and see any service accounts that have high privilege access, such as the admin role attached. If I see an account that has admin privileges but hasn't accessed an API in 90 days, that's a red flag, a likely abandoned integration that should be reviewed or removed. This is the kind of operational visibility that security and platform teams have been asking for. Not just who has access, but what those machine identities are actually doing. Let's revisit those 16 risky findings we saw earlier. Each of these findings represents a potential misconfiguration or threat vector, automatically detected by the console. I can see, for instance, that several API integrations haven't been active in months. That's a great cleanup opportunity. Still, credentials often become low hanging fruit for attackers. Below that, I can see the Machine Identity Security Score. This score is dynamically calculated based on key risk factors such as the number of unused or inactive identities, whether credentials are stored securely, and what authentication methods are in use. Improving the score is straightforward. Clean up unused integrations, upgrade weak authentication, and follow the built-in recommendations. Let's open up one of those findings. Here's an example where an account is still using basic authentication. This console gives me clear, actionable recommendations right in context. In this case, it suggests migrating this integration to OAuth for stronger credential protection. So it's not just about visibility, it's about guided remediation. The console helps me make informed decisions about every service account, reducing guesswork and manual effort. In summary, our new Machine Identity Console brings together visibility, intelligence, and control for managing service accounts used for integration, from discovery to risk scoring to secure configuration. And with the service account inventory view, admins can now understand exactly who and what is connecting into their instance and take immediate action when something looks risky. It's identity management, built for an increasingly hyper-connected, API-driven, and AI-powered world. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for that demo, Bree. This seems like it would be really important as we integrate more AI features with other systems outside of the ServiceNow AI platform. Securing our integrations is more than just the strength of the authentication, though, isn't it, Bree?
Exactly. Authentication is just the front door. True integration security means knowing what's happening after somebody walks through it. So, with the Machine Identity Console, you can see every integration, understand how it's behaving, and act on risk and not just the credentials.
Awesome. Well, for that, I'm going to turn it over to our next speaker, Maury C. Blanchard has been working on our team for a year now and has specialized on authorization features in the platform and has also been working on Security Center. People get a bit mixed up about authentication and authorization. Authentication is what Bree was just talking about, and that's how you prove your identity. Authorization is what you're allowed to do after you've proven that identity. For example, the workspaces and records that you can view after you log in. So, Maury, we were just talking about controlling what an integration can do after it authenticates to the platform. Tell us a bit more about that.
Hello, Kevin. Thank you. Yes, like you were mentioning, we just learned about machine identity with the Machine Identity Console, but we want to take a step further and talk about why we built this new functionality called Machine Identity ACLs. And the business need is clear: secure API and table access for integration users, compliance with standards like GDPR, HIPAA, and SOX, and auditability and traceability of permissions. And to address these new challenges, in the Zurich release, we're introducing new machine identity ACLs. These allow admins to define resource specific permissions for integration users and ensuring that only the necessary APIs and tables are accessible. Also, new scripting ACL type. This expands the ACL framework to support scripted logic, enabling dynamic and context aware access decisions. And user access profiles, a new feature that lets admins bundle access rules into reusable profiles, simplifying management and enforcement. And getting started is very simple. Machine Identity Access Controls is available out of the box, and it can also be downloaded free of cost from the ServiceNow store. So instead of granting broad system permissions, Machine Identity ACLs let administrators specify exactly which resources, such as REST APIs, SOAP APIs, and data tables, an integration user can access. This ensures tighter governance and minimizes security risk. Now, let's take a look at a demo. Let's walk through how to create a machine identity access control in ServiceNow. The goal here is to apply the principle of least privilege, giving integration users only the access they truly need, nothing more. This helps reduce risk and keeps your environment secure. Start by going to System Security, then scroll down and find Machine Identity Access Controls. Here, you can see any machine identity access controls that you have already created. Click New to create a new policy. Give your policy a clear name and description so it's easy to identify later. Make sure the policy is marked as active. Next, choose the type of API access this integration user needs. For REST, you can allow specific methods like GET, POST, or DELETE. If the integration uses SOAP, select SOAP policy and link it to an authorization profile. This ensures the user can only perform the actions you approve. Now, pick the tables the integration user should access. You can also include child tables if needed. This is where you really tighten control. Only grant access to what's necessary. Finally, add the integration user account. You can include multiple users if they share the same access needs. Remember, only users with web service access can be added. Click Submit, and you're done. From now on, this user can only access the APIs and tables you specified, even if they have broader roles elsewhere. This centralizes control and minimizes security exposure.
Okay, and beyond that, you also had some features to tell us about in Security Center.
Absolutely. Let me start by saying that ServiceNow Security Center is a free application designed to help system administrators and platform owners strengthen their security of their environment. Available by default starting with the Vancouver release, it provides a unified dashboard for monitoring, hardening, and improving your security posture. What's the challenge? keeping up with evolving threats and misconfigurations across complex environments. Security Center solved this by delivering real-time visibility, actionable insights, and best practices all in one place. So, what's new in Zurich? Identity and access control tools and dashboards for better governance, security tasks to create, prioritize, and track platform security actions in a single view, and embedded videos for quick learning and easier navigation. So, in short, Security Center empowers teams to proactively manage security and streamline compliance, all from a modern, intuitive interface. Now, back to you, Kevin.
Thank you very much. So once again, here's that slide with all of the new security and privacy features that we've built for the Zurich release. We've made it easier to secure specific workflows with Vault Console. We've made it easier to find sensitive data that doesn't follow a common pattern and to build custom data patterns for your business. We've introduced a way to apply different encryption policies to your data to reflect differences in how that data should be treated. And we've made it easier to see what systems you've integrated with the platform and how you can take the security of those integrations to the next level. ServiceNow is committed to your success, and I want to highlight 3 offerings that are at the heart of our customer success ecosystem. ServiceNow Impact is a customer success product that helps you maximize value with long-term adoption guidance and support. Our training and certification resources available through ServiceNow University help you build the organizational talent you need to succeed. And Expert Services is our ServiceNow professional services team that helps you implement and optimize your ServiceNow investments. And here's one more plug for our other ServiceNow events and on-demand recordings you can check out. And so as we've gone through this, we had some great questions come in through the Q&A. It looks like we have answered all of those. So I don't think there are any other questions for us to address. So again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video and spend some time with us and learn about the new features from our team in the Zurich release.